All right, let's be clear about something. Let's take a moment to ponder. Now, we've talked about a lot of things over these episodes, but the one thing that we really need to get into is this. Again, I need you to ask yourself a couple questions. And I need you to go back and I need you to think long and hard about this time frame. Think about it. Don't come with no generic roadkill answer. Let's think long and hard about this. All right. Because what you need to understand is this. I know now I'm gonna speak for some of y'all, maybe a majority of y'all. But here's what I want to ask you. I want you to think about this. Now, you went out, you bought your setup, you got your nice mic, you set up the room, you got your room looking stupendous in order for you to be a successful podcaster in your mind, right? You hit record, you push the episode out every single week. It's like clockwork. Nothing happens. It's like clockwork, though. You get no inquiries, no DMs, no clients. Just downloads, just the numbers that don't pay your bills. See, and that's where we get lost in the sauce. And then somewhere in the back of your mind, you're starting to wonder if this is even working. Now, here's the truth that nobody in the space, and I'm talking about this whole online space, because this doesn't just go for podcasting. This goes for business. This goes for relationship. This goes for fitness. In this whole space, here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Your podcast, your content, your videos isn't failing because your content is bad. It's failing because guess what? Your process is broken, and a broken process produces broken results. Now, no matter how good you think you are, this is what happens. See, I used to record episodes that took me 8 hours to produce. And when I say that was the longest journey that you could ever ask for, it took so freaking long for one simple episode. And I was still showing up sloppy, inconsistent. I was burnt out. I was done. I was really done for. Yeah, you have to understand that when you get to that point and being burnt out, you start to doubt yourself. And I was doubting myself. See, I wasn't building a business. I was building a burden. And that burden had me to the point that I didn't want to come back. But then I made 8 tiny shifts, not overhauls, not rebrandings, not a new mic, 8 habits. And everything changed for you, boy. So I'm going to tell you the 8 habits that I did. So stick with me. I'm going to tell you what I did. Because by the end of this episode, you're going to have a production system that saves you time, sharpens your content, and actually converts listeners into clients. And that's what we're here for. We're here to turn not only listeners into clients, but we are also here to give you the blueprint, the framework, the structure to turn conversations into currency. All right? Now, if you're with me, like I know you're with me, let's go. Let's get it. Hey, yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to Podcast for Profits, the show where we stop trading time for likes and start turning conversations into currency. It's your host with the most, the one that don't play with the toast. It's your boy, Tony Porter, your podcast monetization strategist and business coach. Today is the day that we're going to dive strictly into these 8 tiny habits that completely transform my podcast production and became an extension to my entire business. And that's what we want to do. Before we start, let's be real about some things. If you are a coach, consultant, a service provider who's tired of podcasting into the void and ready to start generating, and I mean generating a real client revenue stream, pay attention. Because these strategies we're going to break down today, they do the most. Because guess what? They're not theories. Because that's not what we're going to deal with. We're not dealing with theories today. These are the exact frameworks that I use in not only my business, but I help others. I'm sitting down literally when I get through recording this episode and hollering at a good friend of mine, starting his content journey. And I'm telling you right now, be on the lookout for it, because the man's niche is super, super amazing. To be such at a young age, I'm inspired by what he's doing. So I want to tell you what we're going to cover today. Why your current process is costing you clients before they even hear your episode. All right. And 8 micro habits that will cut your production time in half and double your output quality in a matter of days, matter of months, matter of weeks. We're going to talk about how to build a system so tight that recording feels like a ritual and not a chore. All right. The mindset shift that separates the hobbyist podcasters from the professional ones, and how to start implementing this all today. Not the next quarter, not the next month, not the next year. We're talking about today. A lot of people are stuck right now. And when I say they're stuck, they're seriously stuck because they're waiting for the right time, the proper time. We don't need the proper time. We need to get it out there. Find out what's messed up, and then we fix it. Listen, Amazon was built in a garage. Look at it now. I think I said that once before, and I'm going to say it again. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his garage. Broke is a joke. Selling books. Look at it now. So let's get into it, all right? And once we get into this, you'll understand exactly why we are the way we are. So one of my favorite ones is my starting point, and that's I like to build a pre-production ritual. Now, if you're sitting down to record with nothing but a vague idea in your head, you're not podcasting. You're winging it. And a lot of people want to start a podcast because that's what they're doing. They're winging it right now. You got to understand, by winging it, you got to look at when you're producing your episode, the audience can feel that. They literally can feel the fact that you are winging and you are not prepared in what you are doing. I tend to stumble over some things from my script, but a lot of people just go out here and be all over the place. We got one problem we need to solve, and we're going to solve it. All right? We got one problem we need to solve, and we definitely going to solve it. And even when they can't name it, they feel it. And feeling it is exactly why they don't come back. So you got to understand, when people first start recording, they treat every episode like what's the word I'm looking for? They treat every episode like you're supposed to have a conversation. All right, that's the way it's supposed to be. But if you have no outline and no structure, just a vibe, and you get to the end of the 45-minute recording session and you realize I said the exact same thing 5 different times, 5 different ways without even landing a point. That's what we mean by you have no structure. So basically, you just lost an entire afternoon of recording. There was no content problem. There was no preparation problem. One thing you got to understand is when I grew up, the West Side, one thing I learned very early, if you walk into something without a plan, you're walking into somebody else's plan. And see, we learned that from the block, and that goes for the situations in sports. Some people have a plan. They don't know how to execute the plan. It goes for business. Some people have businesses. They don't know how to really run their businesses. And it definitely goes for your podcast. Now, here's what you need to fix. Build a non-negotiable pre-production ritual. See, on the weekends, I idealize. I come up with all the concepts, everything that I need to have. It's 20 minutes before every episode. I write out my 3 core talking points in my own words. No bullet point, fragments, full sentences. This forces me to actually think through what I'm about to say for this particular episode. I do a 5-minute voice warm-up. I go through the hum scales. I learned that from music class in high school. Because guess what? When you read a paragraph out loud, your voice is your instrument. So you got to treat it like it's that woodwind sound that is coming out. Let me explain something to you. Andre 3 Stacks is walking around playing the flute. He mastered that because it was something that he felt like he wanted to do. Be yourself. Quit trying to be everybody else, but be yourself. And then after you master your voice, your instrument, after you freed yourself, close everything on your computer except what you need. No notifications, no tabs. You don't need no distractions. That's it. 20 minutes. But those 20 minutes are the difference between the episode that flows smoothly and the episode that just wanders. So one thing you got to understand is throughout my entire time, I decided that I needed to start building this out. And when I started building this out, I said, do you charge for this? What you charge for it? Because a lot of people don't know how to give away free game. They want to gatekeep a whole lot of things. So inside the Podcasters Academy, which is my free school community that we are steady building out, we've got tons of information that we're putting in every single day. And we would love for you to join us. Now, one of the things that we are putting in is the pre-production ritual template that we're going to have for you. All right. Maps out the whole thing. The link will be in the show notes, and just go get it. It's free. Everybody loves something free. Everybody loves something free. Now, but the ritual is just how you start. When I get into my second habit, it's about what you do before you even sit down to record. Remember, this is what I do. You can do it, but tweak it to you. Make it fit you. And when I finally figured this one out, this kind of blew me away. This surprised me a little bit. All right. So the next step that we need to talk about is batching your episodes like a content CEO. See, if you're recording one episode at a time, week to week at a time, you're consistently starting from zero. And starting from zero every single week is why you feel like podcasting is a grind instead of a growth machine. There was a season in my business, probably right after COVID, where I was recording on the same day. I was trying to publish. That's insanity, man. That was crazy. But I didn't know better. I really didn't know better. I was just doing it because I wanted to get enough content out there. And I thought staying current mean recording the day of. That's what I was doing. I used to record my episodes at 3:00 in the morning and then get everything done. 3:00 and try to have my episode out by 6. This is right after COVID hit. Because remember, in COVID, everybody was confined to the house. So I was starting to put stuff out. But then I learned that I was cutting corners on my content. And you could hear it when I was stressed out because I wanted to make sure I got it out on time. Because the main thing was be consistent. But guess what? The energy don't lie. The shift came when I sat down one Saturday and came up with the idea. Now, mind you, I said, here's what I'm going to do. This particular day, I'm going to record 4 episodes. Get one ready to publish for Monday. Have the other one ready to go for the next week. So by the time I hit the next week, I'm recording for the next 4 weeks. Make sense to you? I hope it does, because that's exactly what it does. See, I was nervous about it. I thought I'd burn out by episode 3, but here's the thing. The opposite happened. By episode 2, I was in the zone. By episode 3, I was on fire. By episode 4, them gems was dropping harder than a brick falling from the sky. And when I say the one thing that I'm about to say is this, I was dropping gems I hadn't even planned to do. And see, that's what batching my recordings had done for me. And it can do the same for you. See, it puts you in a flow. And when that flow is there, it keeps you there. See, batch recording is a minimum of 2 episodes per session. All right. What you need to figure out is work your way up to 4. Now, pick one day per week or even every 2 weeks to record your batch content. Block all of this out on your calendar like you're about to have a call. It's non-negotiable. Prep all your episodes, outlines, like maybe 2 or 3 days before. Record them back to back. Use the same energy, same setup, same flow. You go from reactive to strategic overnight. You stop being a podcaster, you start being a content CEO. And of course, we talk about this over at the Podcasters Academy. It's a free community that we have started building. And as I say we, I mean me. But we want to solve a lot of issues that a lot of people have. We want to help you get it here and understand what it's like to have a content calendar. All your CEOs of all your major Fortune 500 companies use calendars. I was one that was just like, listen, I ain't going to do all of this. But then I realized if I want to be in the top 1%, then this is what I need to do. And so that was what I was doing with my habit number 2. I started batch creating my content, right? But then I had to think about it. Well, if I'm batch creating my content, I need to come up with something that solves something nobody else is talking about. Well, and what happens when you actually sit down and record with your energy off? A lot of people sit around and think about, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about is this. Stop editing while you record. Quit that. If you're pushing, or should I say, if you're pausing mid-episode to redo a sentence, cut off stumbles in real time, or talk yourself out of, what's the word I'm looking for? Tangements while the mic is live, you're slowing yourself down. You're killing your authenticity of your delivery. The edits happen post-production, not in your head while you sitting here recording. And I learned that when I used to record music. My buddy Jay was the producer, and he never wrote while he was making a beat. I did. While he was making the beat, I heard that first 808 kick, and I was already set to, I'm going to bust out this lyric. But that's what it was like growing up in the hood, man. You either made music, play sports, so dope. That's what the city had presented to us. But I had it in my head I was going to do something different. I was going to do it the right way the first time, after I realized that me being in the game and seeing how things was working, my mentality was working in a lot of places nobody wanted to say. And what I was doing was I was destroying my concepts. I was destroying my mental. I was working backwards. And when I started working and making my own podcast, I started doing the exact same thing. I'd be mid-sentence and say something that wasn't quite right, stop, side, and then start right over. One particular episode I was recording, man, it took me 50 times. A 30-minute session wound up being damn near 2 hours because I'm trying to fix something. See, the irony of this is this. The stuff that came out when I stopped trying to be perfect was 10 times better than the scripted version. I have a script. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. What I'm not going to do is tell you, well, I said that backwards. What I'm going to do is tell you this. The script could be right in front of me. It's like a bullet point to me. Because half the time I done went off script. You kind of want to record in one clean path and then clap to mark your redos. So something like, and then I would say, okay, I got that clap. This is where I needed to redo it at. And I've already done it. All right. Now here's how that works. If you stumble or flubber a line, clap once loudly, pause for 2 seconds, and then pick back up from the last natural break point. Man, that clap creates a visual spike in your audio waveform. When you're getting to the editing portion of it and you see those spikes, that's where you find out that you need to make your cuts. You never have to scrub through the entire recording looking for mistakes. Or you could just use Riverside.fm and it will help go through and clear out some of this clutter as you are sitting there making it's like you got your AI, it's like you got your editor in your pocket. It's your co-creator. That's what it's called. It's your co-creator. All right. And so that single habit cut my editing time by 40%. When I got with Riverside.fm, this AI tool has cut it another 30%. So my flow is perfectly done for me right now. So please stop trying to record the perfect podcast. Start trying to have a real conversation. Your audience doesn't want flawlessness. They want honesty. The stumble makes you human. The correction makes you relatable. The story makes you trustworthy. You feel me? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Matter of fact, I know you are. Again, over the Podcasters Academy, it's how we break this down. It's free. The link's going to be in the show notes. Everything that we talk about is going to be in the Podcasters Academy. It could be a template. It could be whatever you want it to be, but it's going to help you. We're putting in the time and the hours and the work to make sure that the next podcast generation is clearly above the rest. All right. Now remember, all these resources are free. So habit 3 makes your recording better. Habit 4 makes you're recording faster. And it starts before you even say a word on your microphone. All right. So what you want to do is you want to create a standing episode outline template. Now, if you're building your podcast structure from scratch, every single week you're doing exactly unnecessary creative work every single time. And that's backwards. You're burning out, you're mentally struggling, your energy is basically gone. And that should go the opposite. You should be flowing and you should be giving all of this energy to everybody that's listening to you, that's homing in. See, about 6 months of podcasting, I noticed something. My best episodes all had the same structure: hook, welcome, story, 3 teaching points, CTA, close. Every single time the episode that's what I hit. That's what I was doing. I was asking people to share this. I was asking people to go check out the replays. It was the same structure. See, I stopped inventing the wheel and I just built a template and I filled in each week instead of starting from a blank script. Sound simple? No, it's revolutionary. So Habit 4, build one permanent episode outline template that I use every single time. And that's what you need to have. You need to have a template that doesn't have to be that long. You don't have to have that. What you need to do is you just have one simple page that labels your sections. Hook, what's the pain, the pattern, interrupt, the welcome and the setup, episode's topic, plus 3 to 5 preview points. You pillar 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pillars 1, 2, and 3, a story plus teach plus CTA. Then you have your bridge offer. This is how you structure this. All right. You connect episode transformation to the Podcast Academy. Close with your tagline and your send off. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. 7 sections, same time. Just fill in the blanks. Consistency builds speed. Speed builds output. Output builds authority. All right. We're gonna put that together in a template format for you over in the Podcasters Academy. The link will be in the show notes. We've told you that 55,000 times. So with Habit 4 doing that, Habit 5 is about the one thing you should say and don't say. At the end of each episode, that's either making or costing you clients every single week. Now, if you're closing your episodes, all right, with thanks for listening, see you next week. I say this with love. You're leaving money on the table. You're not podcasting just to be podcasting. So let's be clear about that. We're not doing that. No, we're not doing that at all. All right. We are podcasting because this is what we want to do. We want to generate a passive income. You want to generate to where you could possibly walk away from your 9 to 5. And I remember when I first started doing this, I got into podcasting and I was on Anchor and all of these places. And I'm like, man, thanks for checking out my podcast. Wasn't getting no downloads, wasn't getting no listeners, wasn't getting none of that. I didn't start getting anything remotely until I found Pat Flynn. Once I found Pat Flynn, I started finding I was doing things wrong. Once I realized that I found Eric Thomas one morning, I couldn't sleep. And I realized I went back and every morning for the first 3 weeks that I was watching him, he would post content every single morning at the same time. Every morning. I'm thinking, he's got me wanting to come back because at the end of each episode, he was like, thanks for watching. But if you want to keep getting these insights, if you want to keep getting this motivation, follow, subscribe, click the bell notification. This is on YouTube. That's when I realized he's basically told me to subscribe to his podcast, click, hit the bell notification, click. Every time he drop a video, and I was already up anyway, I'm looking at it. And that's how you're supposed to be. You get a simple mention of what we was doing and what the conversation is. Look what happened. And that's what you want, man. You want to be able to have them people sitting around doing what they supposed to do. So if you're not getting these consistencies, these returns on your investment, it's not a marketing problem. It's a habit problem. And see, Habit 5, every episode ends with one specific CTA, not 3, not 5, 1. Here's the rule. Pick one. Pick one. Pick one. And pick the next one, the step that's based on where your listeners are in their journey. Cold listeners who just found you, send them to the Podcast Academy for free. Low risk, easy, yes. Warm listeners, get them ready. Get them the client generating podcast blueprint. Hot listeners, you want to get them ready to get into the profit. I want them to anyway, the podcast profit engine. But you rotate the basis of the episode topics. But you always pick one CTA, one door, one next step. The more choices you give, the fewer actions they take. And if you want to hear exactly how to script this, we're going to put that over there too. In my swipe vault, Habits 5 captures the listeners at the end. Habit 6 turns the listeners into leads before they even hear a full episode. So repurpose before you publish. That's what we're going to talk about in number 6. If you're hitting publish on an episode, all right, and then you start thinking about social content, you're running your content machine in reverse. By the time you post about your episode, the energy is gone. At that moment that has passed, it's gone. There was a time when I spent 3 days producing an episode, recording, editing, publishing, and then sit there on maybe like a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon thinking, okay, what do I post about? I was exhausted. The episode was already out. The energy, man, it's there, but it was gone. I had to sit back. So I thought about throwing in the towel. I couldn't do it. I felt half-hearted. I came up with my Instagram captions and the moves and all of this. Then I flipped the script. I started putting the content from my episodes that I was writing the outline, Before I even recorded, I highlighted 3 strong moments in my outline. The mic drop, the story, and the framework. All right. Then I turned these into social media posts, reel hooks, and email teasers before the episodes even went live. By that time I hit publish, I had 7 pieces of content ready to go. That's not working harder. That's working smarter. I built a repurposing plan during the outline phase, not the publish phase. All right. It was simple. It was a simple workflow. But now with AI, by the time I get through, I hit the edit over here in Riverside. I go back. I got maybe 3 videos that's 3 to 5 minutes long, 7 reels, and then 7 Instagram captions. Hey man, I'm moving. But then I have another system that I do where I would take one of the titles that I generate from Co-Creator, plug that in, and come up with 5 more Facebook posts, 5 more LinkedIn posts, 5 more Instagram posts, some threads, things like that. I need to get all of that done. Schedule them out, get them ready to go. 1 episode, 7 distribution points or more. I'm posting 3 to 5 times a day. The academy is ready to roll. And that's what we're going to talk. That's what we're going to talk about, the Content OS. We're going to do something about the Content OS over in the Podcasters Academy just as well. We want to get you there. Listen, join the community. It's free. It's definitely free. So you start distributing smarter. You get into habit number 7, and that's about what happens after distribution. And at this particular point in time, this habit is the one that actually builds the relationship that converts. Once one listener starts to comment or DM before each recording session, all right? So review that. Review one listener's comment or DM before that session starts, all right? Here's what you got to understand. If you're recording episodes inside of a vacuum, because based on what you want to say instead of what your audience wants to hear, you're producing content that feels right to you but not lands to them, all right? And one of my coaching buddies told me something early on that changed how I felt and looked at everything. He told me, he said, hey, bro, your content strategy should live inside your DMs. I don't like DMing people. But when I thought about it, I was like, sounds simple. But then I started doing it. Before every recording session, I scroll through the DMs, the comments from other people's posts. See, I do a lot of that. I will post jack you in a heartbeat. I will post jack you so quick. I get to my episode and I get to the comments that somebody else has left, and Those become questions that I need to know if my people is doing the same thing. It's frustrating sometimes, but it's the business. And it's the thing that I want more of that has me doing what I'm doing. Now, I started building the episode calendar around conversations instead of my own assumptions. The engagement went up, the DMs went up, the conversations went up. Because suddenly I was talking to my audience instead of talking to myself. So before you record a session, read the comments, one of them, and read a DM out loud, just to yourself. That's the whole habit. One comment, one DM, read it out loud so it gets into your body, not just into your head. Let it remind you who you're talking to. Let it remind you who this matters for, and then let it inform you at least one thing that you say in the episode that will connect with that person that wants to listen to you. See, you don't build an audience by talking at people. You build an audience by making people feel like you're talking to them, not at them, but to them. One DM before every record, that's the move. We talk about that over inside of the Podcasters Academy. We have conversation threads dedicated to audience research and listeners' feedback. Listen, your loop is your tribe. Lean on them. Get us out of there. Let's build. I built this strictly for content creators and podcasters. And you never know, you might be in there and find the right person. And the next thing you know, y'all on iHeartRadio making millions of dollars. All right. So jump on over to the Podcasters Academy. The link will be in the show notes below. And let's start building. Habit 7 connects you with your audience. Habit 8 connects your audience to your next offer. I did a live recently where I talked about monetization. How do you monetize your podcast, right? Here's what you got to understand. Every episode production week, or should I say, end your episode production week with a 15-minute review. If you are just podcasting week after week without ever stepping to the new wave of evolution, what worked? Because you don't know what worked. What didn't work? Again, you don't know what worked. What do you need to do more of? You're on the treadmill, moving fast, going nowhere. This habit right here, I got this habit from football coaching. When I was coaching, I thought about some things that I was doing. Every Friday night after the game, we upload film. Now, mind you, some of the games start at 7:30 on a Friday night at 10 o'clock. You at the crib, you with your family. It's time to sit down and talk. 1 o'clock in the morning, you start watching film again. You don't want to wait till the next game. You start preparing because, see, and here's where a lot of coaches drop the ball. You want to start preparing for Monday right after the game. That's why the successful coaches are successful. They're not waiting. They don't wait till Monday. Go to work. You have to have that relationship, though, with your spouse, your loved ones, because sometimes that can cause a problem. You look at what the data says. You want to understand what you need to be preparing for. A lot of people prepare backwards when it comes to podcasting. You look at certain things. The numbers actually show up and they show you right. So I started doing that with my podcast every Friday, 15 minutes. I look for 4 numbers: my downloads, listeners, my through rate, and link clicks. Okay. Those are the things I started looking for. That's it. Those 4 numbers, 15 minutes. After those 4 numbers would tell me everything I needed to know about my direction that I needed to go for the next week. In 3 months, my average listen through rate went from 38% to 67%. It's just like with these trial reels. I wanted to start trial reels. When I first started, I wasn't getting no traction. Now, turn it up because I started paying attention. So I schedule a 15-minute production review every Friday. I want to track what I'm doing. My downloads, it's my audience growing. That's what I mean by downloads. My listener through rate. Are they staying? How long are they staying? Link clicks. These are some of the things that you got to start listening to what they're giving you, your KPIs. You got to listen to that. You got to listen to your insights. And so that's your podcast for profit North Star. That's what I do. That's the metric. That's the scorecard. 4 numbers every week, non-negotiable. And over time, those numbers don't just tell you what's working. They tell you the audience is already buying. Okay. Now, we do have a tracker that we are building out for you. We're going to put it over into the section. We want you to be able to see that, understand that, use that. All right. Link will be down in the show notes. Join the Podcasters Academy. If you join the Academy, you get all of this stuff. You don't need the link. You just get in the Academy and start networking with people. All right. And that's what you want to do. So remember, you want to be able to get all of this stuff and start producing high quality content. We're not competing with the Joe Rogans, the Pat McAfee shows, the ESPN podcast, the Joe Button podcast, the $1 million worth of game. You can't compete with those. They have sponsorships. All right. You want to build up to get to that point. Either you want to struggle and do it, or you want somebody who's already doing it, done it, and showing you the blueprint. You want to follow the blueprint and get to that point. So you got 8 tiny habits that you need to work with. You got your stack, you got your complete transformation plan already laid out. Your content calendar ready to go. It's not about overhaul your whole operation overnight. This is about stacking one small win on top of another until your system runs itself. And if you're ready to go deeper, get on over to the Podcasters Academy. Let's learn how to do that. We'll teach you. And this community is for coaches, consultants, service providers who want to build a system, who want to go and generate 3 to 5 clients a month using a podcast and go from a passive income to a 6 to 7 figure business that produces for them. All right. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get the pre-production ritual template. You're going to get the episode outline template. You're going to get the content OS repurposing workflow, the podcast revenue tracker, and the CTA swipe vault. Everything that you need, you're going to get. And that's what we want to do. We want to give it to you. Now, if you really want to get into the future, grab the content, the conversation currency checklist, and the client generating podcast blueprint. These are the engines that get you started. These are for the serious players. All right. That's what we're talking about, man. The links will be in the description, in the show notes below. Now, let me leave you with this. 8 habits, 8 small shifts. None of them took more than 20 minutes to implement. But together, they're compound. They build one after each other. And over time, they create one production system that doesn't hold you back. All right. You got me? You straight? You cool? Cool. It converts. You've been given the blueprint. You got the questions answered that you needed to have answered. Pick one of these habits, just one, and implement it before you record your next section. That's it. One habit, one session, one shift. Because we don't wait until everything is perfect before we move. We move, and then we get better on the way. As always, we turn conversations into currency. Now go turn yours into your currency, and I'll see you in the next episode, man. Peace.